Hey everyone, welcome back to another lecture of the GDB lecture combining European history with Neo4j. I'm Ivan, and today we'll be learning more about the Protestant Reformation. First, we're going to talk about Lutheranism and Martin Luther, who is the founder. Martin Luther is uh, was a very prominent or a very dedicated priest in the Catholic Church, um, who taught that salvation could be achieved by both good work and faith. However, Luther believed that this he didn't believe in this, um, as he believed that salvation was a gift freely given by God, thus leading to the 95 Thesis, um, which is when Luther witnessed uh, Jonathan Tezel selling indulgences near Wittenberg, and indulgence at this time was a payment or a fee to the church that would bring a soul of a dead relative or friend um, out of purgatory. And Luther thought this is really bad, and since it was the money used from these indulgences were used to pay for construction of like very um, ornate church buildings, Luther didn't like it. And thus, on October 31st, 1517, he nailed his 95 Theses on the door of the castle church in Wittenberg, outlining why the church is in the wrong. So some of Luther's key beliefs is that salvation is achieved by faith alone, and the Bible is the only valid authority for Christian life. Thus, all church teaching should be based off of the Word of God as revealed in the Bible. And through this idea, he also rejected Catholic teachings that were based on the seven sacraments. Additionally, he also believed that the church consists of a priesthood of all believers, and all Christians are spiritually equal. All vocations are also of equal merit, being that all honest work has equal merit, and therefore Luther abolished monasteries and convents, and he declared that the clergy should marry. And this led to the German Peasants' War in 1525, as German peasants who initially supported Luther believed that Lutheranism is a freedom from oppression by the landlords and clergy. However, Luther believed that all Christians should obey their rulers, no matter how harsh they were, and that he urged the German nobility to crush the rebels. And thus, this war strengthened the authority of the German nobility, and Lutheranism became closely allied with political order. Luther also commented more on the role towards Christian women, as he believed that Christian women should strive to be models of obedience and Christian charity. Lutheranism gained quick popularity throughout Europe and spread through multiple countries, and it has become the dominant religion in northern and eastern Germany, and became the predominant religion in Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. In the Peace of Augsburg, which is a really important event, the religious war between Catholics and Protestants, so one by Charles V and other by German princes, tore Germany apart. And the Peace of Augsburg allowed both sides to have a peace treaty and gave each German prince the right to determine the religion of his own state. Next, we're going to talk about Calvinism. So, Calvinism was founded by a guy named John Calvin, and his key belief was that God is just perfect and omnipotent, and humans are corrupt, weak, and insignificant. This led to the idea of predestination, where the elect were already elected to go to heaven, while others were predestined to go to hell. And so the elect here will have the duty to rule society to glorify God. And this led to a society of Geneva, the city of saints, where Calvin and his followers regulated, um, basically became a land for the Calvinists. And another branch of the Calvinists, in fact, were the French Huguenots, which rose to extreme power and the rebellions in the later stages of European history. Next, Anglicanism. Anglicanism was started by Henry VIII, and he was a devout Catholic, actually, who rejected teaching of Luther. However, he was unable to gain a male heir as the second king of the Tudors, who not a prominent family in the English history. And the Pope did not allow him to divorce his wife at the time, so he started his own religion through the Act of Supremacy, which declared the English king as the head of the Church of England, thus severing ties with the Catholic Church. And here he um, Basically, he was able to control religion in England because he wasn't able to get a male heir. And next we have Elizabeth I, who was a politique. A politique is a person who puts personal belief behind and seeks a medium place between the two sides. So here, the Elizabethan settlement. So she restored the Church of England, or the Anglican Church, and allowed priests to marry and conduct sermons in English. And the Church of England also retained archbishops and bishops who wore elaborate robes and conducted services. Next, Anabaptism. Uh, Anabaptism believed that only adult baptism conformed to the scripture, and they opposed infant baptism. And they also advocated for the complete separation of the church and state and rejected secular agreements. So they would refuse to pay taxes, take civil oaths, hold public offices, etc. The Protestant Reformation had a really big impact on women, as Protestants placed family at the center of human life. Women were expected to, serve their husband, take care of the family, and also teach the children how to read. Thank you guys for tuning into this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll be talking about the Catholic Reformation. Hey everyone, welcome back to the GDB course where we combine European history and Neo4j. My name is Ivan, and today we'll be talking about the Catholic Reformation. So, in the Catholic Reformation, there were a series of Reformation popes who had some ideas um, in commissioning arts and enhancing their own power of their own families. Um, and this new generation of popes committed themselves to defining church doctrines containing Protestants, Reforming Church, strict moral standards, papal authority, etc. And this came into light with the Council of Trent, which reaffirmed Catholic doctrines and rejected Luther's doctrine of justification by faith and reaffirmed that salvation is achieved by both faith and good works. They also reformed church abuses, so they no longer sold indulgences and forbade simony. And they reasserted traditional practices such as relics and used Italian as the Latin as a language of worship. They also resisted limiting papal authority. So the council ruled that there was no act of council that could be valid unless accepted by the Holy See. Next, we have the Jesuits, who was created by the Ignatius Loyola and the Society of Jesus, were a spiritual army that emphasized iron discipline, absolute obedience, and some activities they undertook was Catholic education, missionary work, and combating Protestantism. And then something that comes hand in hand with Catholic Reformation is Baroque art. Um, Baroque art was supposed to stimulate piety and deepen the religious experience. So they used a dramatic light and dark called tenebrism, and these buildings built during this era were of grandiose scale and had many ornate decorations, which became a problem with many different Protestant religions. And thank you for tuning in for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll be talking about the wars of religion. Hey guys, welcome back to another lecture in the GDB courses where we take European history and link it together with Neo4j. I'm the lecturer today, Ivan, and today we'll be talking about the wars of religion. So first off, we have to talk about the Empire of Spain, and specifically King Philip II. Since he wanted to advance Spanish power and champion Catholicism, he wanted to defeat the Ottoman Turks, in which located in Eastern Mediterranean. And how did he get into this power? Well, Emperor Charles V abdicated many of his thrones in 1556, and he left his son Philip a vast empire that included Spain, Milan, Naples, and the Netherlands. So in the Battle of Lepanto in 1571, a combined Spanish-Venetian fleet defeated the Turkish navy and enhanced Philip's prestige as a champion of Catholicism. However, he quickly got defeated in the Netherlands, where he imposed the Inquisition and dispatched troops, which caused riots against his army, and eventually led to his defeat. And in England, he also Queen Elizabeth openly assisted the Dutch rebels and encouraged English sea captains to raid Spanish ships. And when Philip sent his Spanish armada to invade England, the English navy actually outwitted the Spanish armada, dethroning the Spain as one of the most powerful empires in Europe. And this quickly led to the French Wars of religion, where there you can see two specific sides: one the Catholics, the other the Huguenots. So in the Catholics, they recognized the Pope, and in the Concordat of Bologna, the ruling Valois king had no reason to support a revolt against the Pope. However, the Huguenots were different as they had gained a strong foothold in France, and Calvinism became a means of expressing opposition to the Valois kings. And this eventually led to St. Bartholomew's Day's massacre, where the French King Charles the Ninth and his mother Catherine de Medici, note the name. They killed thousands of Huguenots who gathered in Paris to celebrate the wedding of Margaret of Valois to the Huguenot leader Henry of Navarre, and eventually this led to a bloody civil war where Henry of Navarre led became victorious, and he eventually became Henry IV in 1589. And this is because in the Edict of Nantes, uh, he kind of led a sort of agreement between the Catholics and the Huguenots. So Henry IV was the leader of the House of Bourbon and a Huguenot. However, he quickly became a Catholic after being crowned as the king, as he believed the majority of French was Catholic and therefore he should also be Catholic. However, in the Edict of Nantes, he proclaimed the toleration of Calvinism and recognized the rights of French Protestants. In the 30 Years' War, which is another prominent event, the Holy Roman Empire was kind of split apart again between the Calvinists and the Catholics. And this caused the 30-Year War, kind of where the Protestant states formed the Protestant Union and the Catholic states formed the Catholic League. And the Austrian Habsburgs wanted to reverse the Protestant gains, and the German principalities and independent cities. And also, there's also international interference where the France opposed a united Germany, so they would help out any side that would keep Germany divided. So in the four phases of the 30 Years' War, first is the Bohemian phase. Bohemia was a small kingdom where Catholics, Lutherans, and Calvinists lived together. However, the new ruler Ferdinand II was an Austrian Habsburg and a Catholic who undermined religious toleration, and thus began a religious civil war in Bohemia between the Catholic League led by Emperor Ferdinand II and the Protestant Union led by Frederick V. And the Emperor Ferdinand II led the Habsburgs in power in Bohemia, which led to the Danish phase, where the fall of Bohemia alarmed Protestants, and the Danish king Christian IV, supported by the Dutch and the English, supported Protestants and gained significant territory in northern Germany. However, the Wallenstein-led imperial armies led by Albrecht von Wallenstein crushed the Protestant forces, and the Edict of Restitution restored all Catholic properties. And this third phase, the Swedish phase, the Protestants again, the Dutch and the French turned to help in the Lutheran king of Sweden, Gustavus Adolphus, and he defeated Wallenstein and prevented Habsburgs from uniting the German states. And finally, the French phase, and since Gustavus Adolphus died, Cardinal Richelieu of France, as a politique, he disregarded his religious belief in favor of supporting broken up Germany, and they joined it on the Protestant side, and they ravaged Germany and compelled the Catholic powers to begin serious negotiations. And this led to the Peace of Westphalia, where this is the first war in modern history ended by a peace conference. And in here, each of the German states received the right to conduct diplomacy and make treaties. Rulers were allowed to decide religious faith of their own territory. The independence of the Dutch Republic and neutrality of Switzerland was recognized. The French annexed Alsace and Lorraine, and Sweden received additional territory around the Baltic Sea. Thank you guys for tuning in today's lecture. In the next lecture, we'll be jumping into Unit 3 about absolutism and constitutionalism, leading off with the Dutch Golden Age.